My boyfriend uninvited me to Christmas, but wants me to leave expensive gifts. So if you look at my post history, I escaped a violent man a while ago and got back with an ex who was cold, but at least not violent, but is lazy and passive, and there was too much family drama. He has 2 kids who are 8 and 10. Now I am back in the drama. He also never told me he loved me, but that's beside the point. His kid's mum always has been awful to me, and he never stands up for me. We broke up when she screamed at me when I came with him to pick up the kids, threw me out, and he didn't say anything. Wow, this guy sounds so cool. Why would you get back with someone like this? Oh my god. It was literally my first interaction with this woman. There is no history that I know of. I don't recall ever meeting this woman, 39 female, before I dated Phil. And to my knowledge, I have no friends in common with her except my hairstylist, who is a nice woman. She honestly freaked me out, coming at me, screaming at me on our first meeting. They have been divorced 7 years, so it's not like it's new. Anyway, we're back together, and initially I was invited to his Christmas dinner. I grew up in a cult and have no family since my disabled mother died. He knows this. Now, baby mama is insisting that he cannot see the kids at all if I am there. So he asked that I find something else to do on Christmas. While we only recently got back together, we were together for a year before that. But again, no I love yous. And I felt more like a friend to him. Sometimes I wondered if he was gay and I was his beard. He doesn't drive, so he asked me to take him to the mall to shop for gifts. I bought expensive gifts for his kids. He wanted me to take him grocery shopping and leave the gifts for his kids and leave my dog so they can play with her, but then go away until they are gone. I have a friend who kindly invited me, so we're going to hang out, and he says that I'm being dramatic and selfish when I tell him that I'm just going to get my money back for the gifts. Should I return the gifts or not? In the comments, Ultimate Pragmatist says, "For goodness sake, you're not ready to be in a relationship. You need time to build up your self-respect." Boo Boo Kitty Cat 1 says, "Please break up with Phil. You deserve so much better. If he has keys to your home, change your locks ASAP. Please protect your dog as well. He might try to guilt you into giving your dog to his kids, or he might ask you to let your dog stay with them a few nights every other week, and then they'll not return your dog. And if he has keys to your place, he might try to dog-nap your dog. He has the nerve to ask you to send your dog over for Christmas, but not allowing you to stay. It's absurd, disrespectful, and downright cruel. Return all Christmas gifts. He's using you as an ATM. He's going to take all the credit for gifts that you bought. He is not going to gift his kids anything. He's depending on you and your generosity and thoughtfulness. Sadly, I would not be surprised if he didn't get you a gift. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be valued as a person. You deserve to be loved and cared for. You deserve someone who will protect, defend, and stand up for you. You deserve to be a priority. You deserve someone who will love you unconditionally and be grateful to have you in their life. You do not deserve this chucklefuck who is taking you for granted and taking advantage of you. He's shown you that you are not a priority. He has shown more concern for his ex. He is showing you who he is. He's showing you that you're not important to him. Please listen to his actions." And Margie Gunderson 70 says, "It's bizarre that you're with someone who told you that he's never loved you, and you consider that beside the point. Actually, that is very much the driver of your whole dynamic. To be honest, I couldn't read beyond that. You need to aim higher in relationships than simply not violent. Exes are exes for a reason." I mean, I picked up on that red flag before that. You know, his ex-partner just started screaming at you and going off. She threw you out of the house and he didn't defend you at all. You're literally just a toy for this man. He's obviously he's never said he loved you, because why would he when, you'll deal with shit like being yelled at by his ex who doesn't know you and then being kicked out? Like, what reason does he have to love you? He's already shown he doesn't care. Why stay with someone like that? Please listen to the comments and break up with them. Oh my god. Back up to the post, there's an update. Thank you all for the kind comments, and really, the unkind comments were helpful by showing me what kindness looks like. To answer people's questions, I've only been free of my controlling, narcissistic mother for 4 years, even though we escaped the cult 10 years ago. So I'm really still learning to cope. I am in therapy, but my therapist's focus has been to help me build and keep relationships with people, so she tends to explain how to see things from the other person's perspective. Her suggestion was that I can leave, but also maybe have empathy for Phil's lack of EQ and grow a thicker skin. I might need a better therapist. I was raised to believe that I am worthless and don't deserve kindness. It has taken 3 years of therapy just to have the confidence to make friends and date at all. I told Phil that I'm taking the gifts back, and he's been begging me to give him another chance. I'm working on the strength to walk away. And now, onto the update, 3 days later. I was shocked at how everyone said that boyfriend is wrong. I really thought most people would be team baby mama and tell me that I'm awful for not cooperating with being asked to leave expensive gifts and my dog for boyfriend's kids on Christmas, but leave the house as I'm not allowed. Because that's what most of my friends, okay, I have 5 friends, had told me. They told me that relationships are work and compromise, and that the baby mama and babies must always come first, and even suggested that I help cook dinner for them. Most of my friends are actually my late mum's friends, women over 60. Those are not friends, OP. I don't know what to call them, but they're definitely not friends. I started therapy when I was cripplingly shy, and to defend my therapist, it's only thanks to her that I stopped sitting alone in my house, totally isolated, and learning to connect with other people. While I appreciate the suggestion to be alone for a while, I've been super isolated for most of my life, and dating again was actually huge progress for me that we worked on for months. I told my therapist that Phil crossed a line, and I don't want to save relationships with him or my friends. I want to improve my self-esteem. Her emphasis has always been on avoiding isolation at all costs and learning to endure other people's imperfections. She agreed that the Christmas incident was really bad. I'm still processing all of this. I'm surrounded by people who encourage me to be a doormat, and I'm still shocked at what others thought. I really thought that Phil and baby mama were right, and 48 hours is not enough time to process that. Maybe my whole worldview is just totally messed up. I went to my friend Mary's house and realized that she's maybe my only real friend. She didn't judge, told me Phil is nuts, and we had a great time with her family. I left my dog with a neighbor since her oldest is nonverbal and can be unsafe with animals. I sent him a Venmo request for the money that I spent on gas and gifts, and he paid it. Phil threw baby mama out at 2 p.m. and then begged me to come home. I got my dog back from the neighbor, took out the cheapest gifts, and he made his kids thank me and play with the presents, which felt very awkward as he tried to beg them to engage with me while they were on their phones. We hung out with his kids though for an hour. Baby mama came back and refused to get out of her car. Phil is now telling me he loves me, he wants to marry me, etc. I don't know what to do. I've been reading non-stop on narcissistic abuse these past few days. I'm seeing that Phil is just like my mum, and that this is maybe what she did. Hoovering. But again, I'm fighting to stop being totally isolated, which I did for years after leaving the cult. I had no friends, never dated, and it's laughable the number of people who accused me of desperately needing a man. Phil's my first boyfriend, and we met when I was a 31-year-old virgin with no friends. So, yes, being alone is grand, but I've been alone all my life and fought hard to stop wanting to be alone. Learning to talk to people outside of work topics, have social skills, etc. has been a huge battle. I'm not autistic, but I read that way because after age 7, I was the only kid left in our cult/commune, and I have no social skills and prefer to be alone to an unhealthy degree. I don't know what to do. Maybe Phil grew a spine. Maybe it's hoovering. I'm standing up to him though, and looking at finding new friends and hanging out more with Mary, who said that I am always welcome at her house. In the comments, Perfect Day 3431 says, "Yeah, Relationships are all about compromise, but when the compromise is all on your side, it's just not worth it. Now your boyfriend is love bombing you. Take a step back and then take an even bigger step back from this guy. You deserve better than him, and thin policy says there is a huge difference between isolating and being alone. You can be alone and still engage with the world. None of these people love you. They are using you. They think they can manipulate you, and they're right, because you're operating from a place of being conditioned to trust people and ignore red flags. Right now, honestly, it sounds like you need to live alone, engage in a variety of light-hearted activities that allow you to be around people without huge emotions attached, like art classes, acting classes, a D&D group, etc. Journal a lot, work on developing a master plan for your life, and start to implement those changes. It's lovely to be in a relationship, but I heard a therapist say you need to clean the house before introducing new furniture to it. You can't just put the couch where you want it until you clean the shit off the floor. Clean house first mentally and spiritually, and then work on recognizing healthy relationship dynamics. Your life on its own, without other complications attached, has value and takes priority, especially when escaping your background. Take some time to explore the world and figure out what you want, and I guarantee it will be much harder to let yourself put up with this sort of treatment. And now on to update 2, 1 month later. If you recall, my boyfriend threw me out on Christmas because his baby mama would not let me see his kids unless he uninvited me to Christmas. He expected me to leave behind the expensive gifts that I bought his kids, take him grocery shopping, as he can't drive for medical reasons, and leave my dog with them to play with. I have a history of social isolation, abuse, and have one friend my own age, so I had no one to tell how bad this was, and no other social outlets. Phil arranged a small Christmas gift opening for me, him, and his kids. He finally told me he loved me and wants to marry me. He then offered to let me move in with him, but then hit me up to buy a sofa. A few days later, I was out of gas. He got out to pump the gas, but asked for my credit card. He wouldn't even chip in for gas, even though I take him everywhere. A couple of weeks ago, I noticed that I'm out of kitchen knives. Like, my utensil drawer was just emptier and emptier. I have a cleaning lady and figured maybe she put them somewhere weird because she has spaced out. She's sweet, but more ADHD than I am, which is a lot. They were in Phil's utensil drawer. He's been stealing utensils from me. For some reason, this was it. Today, I blocked him. In the comments, Angel says, I mean, that's what did it? You know what, so long as she gets to the right station, that's what matters. Well, maybe it was the other way around. Sometimes it's the little things that show us how much we are worth to somebody. I think making the decision to leave someone is often a cumulative process. The phrase, the straw that broke the camel's back, is an enduring example of this, as it was a single piece of straw. It actually makes sense that his petty acts became the final straw for OP due to the sheer pettiness. Like the fact that he'll pump her gas, but ask for her credit card, despite the fact that she's his form of mobility, and that mobility requires that gas that he was pumping, shows how far his petty selfish behavior will go. She also added an update on her last post. Update: I confronted Phil about the knives when I returned his stuff. He was taking pot brownies to work and eating them all day and needed my knives to cut them and then forgot to return them. So on top of everything, he was doing drugs at work. He took 1 or 2 each week. He doesn't see the big deal, but I've also found empty food boxes in the cabinets where he ate everything and put the box back. So I think he's been stealing deliberately and will probably find more things missing. Wow. He gets worse. He took her utensils to do drugs at work. He couldn't cut them at home? Why on earth would he need to bring a knife to cut them? Like, where does he work? Who brings trays of uncut pot brownies to work? This is one of the more unhinged stories that I've read so far because it's not making sense. Is she just dating extremely mentally unwell men on top of all of that? Because it sounds like it. None of that is what a normal person would do. I'm so glad that she's out of there, and I hope that OP continues to deprogram from the cult that she was raised in, because none of that is conducive to a happy life. If anyone was to stay in a situation like that, that's just prolonged suffering. So thank you for sharing the story with us, OP. I hope this helps other people recognize, just how insidious situations like this can be and how hard it is for some people to recognize the red flags. Our next post is by user Airberry, titled, "Am I the asshole for closing my doors to a friend that is visiting from out of town? I, 35 female, live with my 2 indoor dogs in a 3-bedroom house, and my brother stays in one of the spare bedrooms every now and then. An old friend of the family and his wife with 3 kids will be coming to town in the next couple of weeks. They will stay for 3 days and asked me to accommodate them because I have the space. I declined, stating that I do not have guest bedrooms and that they're used for both office space and my brother's personal space. He has all of his stuff in the one room. They were pushing to stay at my house regardless, saying they can sleep in my living room, stating their kids can sleep on my sectional, and they can bring an inflatable mattress. I declined again, stating that my dog's crates are in the adjacent dining room area, and that they wouldn't sleep well with strangers in their immediate space, and I get up at 6 a.m. every morning to take them out and feed them, etc. They got mad, saying that I've always been welcome at their home, I've never gone to stay with them by the way, and that this really hurt their feelings. Now I've gotten a couple of comments from other friends in common saying that I could have let them stay and that I was being selfish for not moving my dog's crates to another room and that changing the routine for 3 days would not have killed me. In the comments, this has to be bullshit. Never have I ever encountered anyone with such undaunted, shameless gall and audacity to not only invite themselves to my house, but then argue and debate me when I say no, and then attempt to turn my friends against me. The icing on the cake is these same friends then take the side of the rude, entitled visitors. OP, what kind of company do you keep that either treats you like a doormat, or perhaps this sort of behavior in your social circle is expected and common? This is such reprobate behavior. It has to be a shitpost. OP replies, "Sadly, I feel they expect it because we've all been friends since childhood, and we've always been like family. I used to host a lot pre-COVID, but things changed for me. I changed, and I guess they still expect me to be the same accommodating person that I once was. And maybe you're right. None of them seem to respect me." Another commenter says, "Nope, not the asshole. 1. Is your place kid-proof with locks on the office and bedroom doors? If no, even if yes, tell them your place isn't kid-proof, and you would worry for their safety. Also, dogs thrive on routine. I am childless. I like kids okay, but not in my space. Any pets I have would come first. Anyone who is saying how terrible you are for not hosting them, tell them that if it matters so much to them, they can host the family. You are not obligated, it is your space, you get to decide who enters it." And OP replies, "I hadn't even thought of that. Children weren't even on my mind, only my dogs. But yeah, I will also mention that. Thank you." And another commenter asks, "Why aren't the friends who are calling you selfish not accommodating the family? Not the asshole." And OP says, "They don't have space either, and have the excuse to be married with kids and pets of their own. I guess in their eyes, it's a more solid reason than mine." Yeah, it's always the ones that, "Oh yeah, we really can't accommodate you. You're single with no kids, so you should bear the brunt." Yeah, it's always those guys that are the most generous with everyone else's time and money. You've said no, and that's a full sentence. That's a full answer. You shouldn't be guilt-tripped and, manipulated into offering your home when you've already said no, I can't do it and I won't do it. Find someone else. As you've said, you've changed. Life has changed. You're not the same person, and that needs to be communicated to them. You're not an asshole for saying no. And now, onto the update the next day. Thank you all so much for taking the time to reply and share your thoughts. While I was reading through them, I couldn't stop crying. In part because I was ashamed at the fact that I'm a pushover and that I've allowed others in my life to just walk all over me for the most part. I've struggled with anxiety and depression for some years now, and I feel that the thought of any kind of confrontation just puts me over the edge, and I usually give in to things that I normally don't want to do, like going out, hosting dinner, games nights, etc. You all made me realize that some of the people in my OG group of friends are not the kind of people that I want to continue being close to, and I've decided to slow trickle away from them. We are not all who we used to be, and I feel I've outgrown some of them. Now, back to the issue of unwanted guests. My friend group decided to help them out with their hotel stay for the 3 days they would be visiting, which, by the way, is only a vacation type of trip for them because they moved away years ago and want to come see everyone. I told them to count me out of the whole ordeal and that I had made other plans for that weekend and that I didn't appreciate how things were handled nor how I was made to feel. Needless to say, they were a bit shocked, but I think I'm done with them. So once again, thank you. In the comments, Dead Letters Society says, quote, "They will stay for 3 days and asked me to accommodate them because I have the space." It's pretty rude to invite oneself over and then have the gall to complain about it when someone can't take them in. There are so many valid reasons for not being able to have guests, and even if there isn't a valid reason, the person should still be allowed to say no, regardless of what the other person needs. And then the other friends weighing in instead of offering their homes? I'm glad OP kicked the group to the curb. The sheer audacity. Whenever I ask a friend if I can crash at their place for a bit, I always end it with, "It's totally fine if you can't," so that they don't feel pressured to say yes just to be nice. Some people just reek of entitlement. Right? Like I always stay at my friends when I go visit their city, mostly because I'm only there to see them. But every time I have a borderline panic attack about, should I assume I can stay? Would it be better to suggest a hotel just so that they have an out? But what if they think that I'm disparaging their hospitality? I know I've been told that I'm welcomed and stayed with them once a year for the last 15 years, but what if this time they don't want me? I can't imagine the overweening confidence to just point at someone and go, "I'll stay with you. Enjoy it." I'm so glad that OP actually stood up for themselves in this situation. Thank you for taking the advice of the comments, OP, and showing your shiny spine that you actually can stand your ground, and that is a valid hill to die on. I don't blame you for being done with that group, because how crazy is it that all of a sudden everyone can get together and pitch in for a hotel stay after how much time they spent trying to guilt trip you into just taking them on? Don't know why that couldn't have just been the plan from the get-go, but very glad to hear that you have solved it and you are moving on from that group of people. They do not sound like friends. Anyway guys, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.